Wolfenstein is credited with launching the first-person shooter way back in 1992 and spawned the biggest gaming genre out there. But fast forward 22 years, does the latest entry, Wolfenstein The New Order, live up to what the original started and offer up a decent shooter for next-gen consoles? Well, we're happy to say it does. While not being the best first-person shooter out there, it does deliver hours of over-the-top action that will keep you gripped to your console. Story-wise, Wolfenstein The New Order imagines what would have happened if the Nazis had won World War II, and as before, you play as BJ Blazkowicz, a gung-ho US Marine type. It kicks off in 1946 in a world where the Allies are on the brink of defeat, with Blazkowicz and various American and British colleagues launching a last raid on a stronghold of General Wilhelm. And of course, it all goes wrong, leaving Blazkowicz in a coma. But then the game skips to Nazi-ruled 1960s and Blazkowicz regains consciousness in a Polish insane asylum. And as soon as he's back on his feet, he's causing havoc in this Nazi-ruled society, thanks to some pretty heavy weaponry. Gameplay-wise, there are countless references to the original Wolfenstein 3D. Difficulty levels are cranked up, and you need to collect every unfired bullet and scrap of armour from dead enemies in order to survive. But you don't have to play it just as a mindless shooter, as the game gives you the option to either go all out guns blazing or take the more tactical stealth route, both being tons of fun, with the latter being hugely rewarding. And there's also a perk system in place for rewarding you for playing in the different ways. And exploration is highly encouraged as it's the best way to find weapon upgrades. And on the subject of weaponry, there's a ton on offer, like long range shotguns and a handy laser, which doubles up as a puzzle solving tool. And there's also tons that's been imagined up to show off a world run by triumphant Nazis, as well as the technology they would have had at their command by the 1960s, like massively armoured super soldiers, giant dog-like robots, and huge multi-story mechs, which make for some pretty tough boss battles. Overall, Wolfenstein The New Order will keep you hugely entertained from beginning to end, and the narrative seems to flow with ease, and while being ludicrous on the storyline front, you can easily get sucked into the world, which keeps you involved and interested until the very end. However, one massive flaw is the lack of multiplayer, and it puts it way off pace when put side by side with some of its biggest competitors. There is massive replay value in the single player campaign, but for a title to truly last the test of time, it needs to have a strong multiplayer element to keep you coming back, and it feels like that it's missing out on a huge chunk of gamers by not having one. And sadly, if you're playing on a next-gen console, it won't blow you away, and still feels very last-gen, and definitely doesn't show the best of the new consoles. This probably isn't one of the best shooters that's going to hit your console this year, but without a doubt it is one of the best in the Wolfenstein series, and if multiplayer doesn't really interest you, you'll have hours of fun with this title.